Rev up your engines! A GMC pickup truck. And believe it or not, this thing gets 35 miles a gallon. I'm not making it up. As they say, the proof is in the pudding. 35.0 miles per gallon. The owner just drove it from Bowling Green, Kentucky to Clarksville, Tennessee here, going 60 to 70 miles an hour, and that's the gas mileage that he got. Well, how can that possibly be? Well, here's how. Underneath the hood is a Duramax 2.8 liter, 4-cylinder diesel engine. Hooked up to the 6-speed automatic transmission, but with this 4-cylinder diesel engine, this thing really got 35 miles a gallon. Now, and a lot of people are gonna say, what does GM know about diesel engines? Sure, there was the horror story of the old, they turned their V8 gas engine into diesel and they were absolute clunkers. They've been doing deals with Isuzu for decades with diesel engines, and this particular one is pretty much based on the Isuzu design. They call it World. Like I said, this one is made in Thailand. And guess what else was made in Thailand? My Triumph motorcycle. It was made in Thailand too. So these 4-cylinder diesel engines that Isuzu's been making can last a really long time. They're pretty bulletproof. Like I said, this one was made in Thailand. They say they're going to be making these in Michigan soon, in Flint. They already make the 3-liter diesel engines in Flint, but it's a proven design. It's not like this is something they pulled like a rabbit out of their hat. It's a very reliable engine that can get phenomenal gas mileage, and it's good at pulling. It's got 349 foot-pounds of torque. He pulls his trailer with it and doesn't have any problems, with one exception. It doesn't get 35 miles a gallon then. It gets 24 miles a gallon. It does knock it down a bit, pulling the weight. But on the other hand, it doesn't strain the transmission, the engine. If he has it on cruise control, going uphill, downhill, it doesn't act crazy and jerk. It's a pretty well-designed powertrain assembly. And it does have a tow mode where it can use exhaust braking, more efficiency. Got some interesting technology in it. And strangely enough, they told me that there were only 2 of these in the entire country because everybody wanted all-wheel drive ones, and this doesn't have anything in the front. It's strictly rear-wheel drive, but that's all you really need. It's got a real handy setup here with the top, so you can store stuff in here. The only downside that he talked about was you can't stick a camper on this because they warn you it'll bend the frame. The frame isn't reinforced as much. But from my own personal experience, I'd much rather drive this around and sleep in a nice motel room with a comfy bed than be in a small little camper. So let's take it for a little spin. And let's see how it starts up. No problem. That's one thing about 4-cylinder diesel engines. They often will start right up. You get in some big heavy V8s, when it gets colder outside, you might have a little problem starting, but these little ones, up they go. And everybody thinks diesels, you know, they got no accelerations. Well, let's see. Seems reasonably zippy to me, and at the same time, for a diesel, it's really relatively quiet. It has a nice ride, it's not particularly bumpy, it handles quite well. You're high enough that you get a good view of things, but not too high where you feel like you're gonna tipple over. Now, when you want to take off, really, it's got decent acceleration. More than you'd think out of a little bitty 4-cylinder diesel engine, especially one that can get 35 miles a gallon. I'm impressed. And if you're old school, it's got an actual real compass. If you know how to use a compass, you're never gonna get lost in this truck. A lot of people say, I don't want to smell the old diesel, but watch this. It really doesn't smell that bad. It's not like the old-fashioned diesels. It's got the diesel particulate system in it, filters out a lot of the pollutants, and it really does not smell. And they made that filtration system easy to get to. One push, there it is. If you need to add any of the fluid, it's right there. Plus, being a dual cab, it's got plenty of room in the back. Cool window. Well, it's not an electric one like in the big Fords, but it isn't that hard to pull that thing open. So if you're looking for a pickup truck that gets 35 miles a gallon, you might think about this little diesel with the engine made in Thailand. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Well, sad news here. Sony says that they're not going to build their Vision S concept car for consumers. If you've seen it, it looks really cool. It's a concept car that they're using to test out some of their devices that they're going to sell to other people. Now, the Vision S has been tested out on public roads, but they're not going to be making it for the public. To quote Sony, at present, we have no plans to mass produce or sell our vehicle. With mobility expected as a major megatrend into the future, we're exploring how Sony can contribute in a meaningful way to the era of autonomous driving. Yeah, even they realize with all their computer dudes that it's not going to be an easy thing making an actual autonomous vehicle that can drive itself and not run into people. The concept car has 40 separate sensors on it. They also have something called 360-degree reality audio, where each person with the headrest has 360-degree sound going around their head. Well, they better figure out how to make these things drive themselves, because with all that going on, nobody's going to pay attention to what's going on down the road. They're going to be in dreamland listening to their fantasy music. And of course, being Sony, they want to put a PlayStation 360-degree one in so people can be gaming while they're riding around while the car drives itself. But as I said, they're not going to be making this car for the public. It's just something they're testing out. They're smart. They're not promising something they may not be able to pull off like some other car manufacturers do. Brass 91 says, Scotty, I got a 91 Honda Civic hatchback, 5-speed manual tranny. I replaced the clutch flywheel, rear main seal throughout, bearing input shaft bearings. As it was making a noise when I accelerated, everything's installed. When I try to start it, the engine turns slow and knocks. Odds are one of two things went wrong, and even I've had this happen to me in the past. Odds are your clutch plate, the big pressure plate that bolts over, is the wrong size. And I've had that happen occasionally. And then when you bolt the transmission on, it's rubbing from where it's bolted to the engine to the front of the transmission, and it makes noises and it won't turn over because it's jammed in too tight. The other thing that can happen is you could have put the clutch in backwards. The clutch plate itself, under the entire clutch spring assembly, is the clutch disc itself. And that disc, unfortunately, can be put in backwards. It's supposed to fit in with the flat side towards the engine and the bumpy side towards the tranny. You could put it in the other way, but then it'll drag. Odds are, unfortunately, that's what's happening. You're going to pull the whole thing apart again. If you save your old parts, what you want to do first is take the clutch disc off, pressure plate, put it on the ground, compare it to your old one. If you see your old one's this high and the new one's this high, sitting on the ground, that's it. They got you the wrong one. And odds are that's what it is from my experience. USAF Dozer Pilot says, do you have any opinions, experience with Ford's new 7.3 Godzilla V8? I'm looking to buy one. I know it hasn't been around long, but I'd like to hear what you have to say about it. From my experience, it's an excellent engine. It's a pushrod engine. It's not crazy high technology, all this crazy GDI technology and throwing a bunch of turbochargers. It's a big, strong, powerful engine. It'll probably last a really long time. If you want a vehicle that's that big with a big engine like that and you want a lot of power, it should be a really good deal. Now, realize, any engine that size is pretty much a gas hog. You're not going to get good gas mileage, but you're not going to get good gas mileage in reality in any large truck. Most of those are in trucks. Trucks don't get good gas mileage. If you want to get good gas mileage, get something besides a truck, especially if you're pulling heavy weights. Here's some interesting history. It turns out that in the depths of a university somewhere in Georgia, there is one of those GM EV1s, the first electric vehicles that was saved away under a big cover, and it looks like it's brand new. If you don't remember, in the mid-1990s, they touted the GM EV1, electric vehicle one, as the future. But GM recalled every single one of those EV1s and crushed them all in 2003. Get rid of all the evidence, I guess. Outside of museums, you couldn't see any. There were a few in museums, but some guy in Georgia, parking garage, there is one. If you check out the picture, you can see it is still really shiny. Not a bad looking car, really. Now, this old car had a 137 horsepower electric motor. It used lead acid and or metal hydride battery packs with 142 miles of range. They only made about 1,000 of these. It had a plastic body, magnesium wheels. Somewhere in Georgia, This guy's taking great shape of it. It's cool that they hid it away and they got this perfect example of it. And they could compare it to the ones that come out now. Now, of course, the battery technology back then was, they were using a lot of lead acid batteries and they're just way too much. They're not efficient enough. But the actual vehicle itself, hey, I'd love to get my hands on one and compare it to like a modern Tesla to see similarities and differences in it. GM, if they ever do come out with another electric car, which they're planning on, I'd like to compare it to that and see where these things are similar and where they aren't. Because they only made 1,000 of those things. I mean, they were mainly all leased out. Some of them were given to universities like this, and this one was hidden away. But the majority of them were leased. And from what I read, the majority of them were leased in California. Most of them were crushed in 2003 when they gave up with the whole program. But it's not that bad looking of a car, really, when you look at it overall. Especially this one that was taken care of. It's still all shiny and polished up. So GM's EV1 still lives in a parking lot somewhere in Georgia. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.